Man, I'm excited to be with you. You know, it's not often that I get to speak at like home, because home is Orem. I was in Seattle yesterday. I'm in New York next week, and it's just good to be here with you. So I got a couple questions. Let me start here. How many of you have heard me before, or this is your first time hearing me? Raise your hand. That should be everybody, by the way. Yeah, pick it up. Come on. Now, how many of you are okay if I share some awesome stuff with you? Raise your hand if you're okay if I share some. Okay, how many of you are okay if I share some life-changing information with you? Let me hear you say yes. Yes. How many of you are okay if I share life-changing information and then show you how to get it forever for free? Everybody say yes. Yes. Good, because that's what we're going to do. But I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here, ladies and gentlemen. I got to make sure that we are of the same fold, as it were. So we're going to start here. I want you to know real quick, the reason why I'm here today for you, it's real simple. I just want to help you achieve your dreams. Are you okay if I help you achieve your dreams? Everybody say yes. Yes. How many of you are not okay with me helping you achieve your dreams? Anybody? Bueller. I hope that you're okay with it, because guys, you deserve it, and I guarantee what I'm going to share with you here today is going to be really, really powerful, okay? Are you guys okay if I share powerful information with you? Everybody say yeah? Yeah. Now, I need to know how many of you have ever felt a little bit stressed out before. Stand up if you've ever felt a little bit stressed out before. Come on, let's see it. Okay, all right. You've never been stressed, sir. That is incredible. How many of you, what are you doing? Tracy Roberts is just grabbing my butt. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tracy. Maybe you ought to come up here with me all day. How many of you have ever felt a little bit overwhelmed? Stay standing if you've ever felt a little bit overwhelmed. Ladies, have you ever felt a little bit overwhelmed? You have? Good. Okay, so far so good. Last question, stay standing. If you've ever needed an answer to a tough question, anybody ever felt like you needed an answer to a tough question? Okay, good. So look around, everybody, look around. We are all very similar, aren't we? We've all been through some of these things. So here's what I want you to do. Turn to your neighbor and high five them and say, I'm like you. Do it. Now I need one very special individual to come up here and high five me and tell me, I'm like you.
I'm like you.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, I got two. Yeah, baby. Woo. All right, guys, we are all very, very similar. So since we're all similar, go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to share something. Since we're all very, very similar, I'm going to share something with you that helps me every single time I'm stressed out, I'm overwhelmed. If I'm having a bad day, whatever the case may be, I'm going to share with you what I do. Okay, now I'm about to give you a gift. Are you okay if I give you a gift? Now, there's going to be a gift. You're not going to forget this. I want you to know I'm about to show you something. You can't unsee this, okay? But what I do if I'm ever having a bad day or I'm a little bit stressed out, quite simply, I do the following. I just picture a T-Rex trying to make a bed. Because he has little arms. So you get it? I can't get the pillow. I love this. I just do. Thank you. Ma'am, what's your name? Lori, I think we were separated at birth, because when I see this picture, I laugh that loud. And how is that not hilarious? Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you, that's my time. We'll see ya. I absolutely love this picture. So now you know, if you ever are having a bad day, just picture little T-Rex with the little arms trying to make a bed. Deal? Is that all right? All right, good. Guys, I'm only going to share 3 things with you here today, because I like to keep it simple and I want to keep it powerful. Can I see that impression one more time of the T-Rex, Carolyn? Jane? Can I see that real quick? Because that was really good. I might bring you up here to do that. Just doing this. I'm just going to share 3 things with you, but now everybody say pause. I want you to know I'm going to share 3 things with you, but I don't expect you to take 3 things out of this presentation. How many things do you think I want you to go home with today? Any idea? Everybody, I want you to just put a finger up like this. Put up a 1. I just want you to take 1 thing away. Do you know why? Because I go to seminars all the time. By the way, congratulations for coming here today. In fact, will you high five your neighbor and say congratulations? Congratulations. Yeah, because you know what? By the way, how many of you would like me to stop awkwardly making you interact with people around you? Anybody? Good, because just kidding. No, listen. I love going to events and I love coming to events and interacting with people. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really, really fun. And I just want you to know, I go to so many of them. And I go to so many places where I'm a speaker. I go to so many places where I'm a learner. And there's so much content that if I think about trying to get it all in my brain, I get a little stressed out and I have to picture the T-Rex, right? So all I want you to do is I just want you to get that 1 kernel today. There's going to be 1 thing guaranteed, at least 1 thing. And I just want you to grab onto that 1 that you're going to take with you today, because that 1 thing is going to be your action item for today. Everybody say action item. Because if you ever come to an event or even ever read a book and you don't walk away with at least 1 action item, how quickly are you going to change your life? The answer is never, because you're never doing anything. So you got to take one thing away and make that the action item. Good? Everybody okay with that? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to share 3 things with you, and I hope you find your one out of these 3 things. But we're going to keep it simple. I'm going to start and share with you the undisputed key to achieving your dreams. Would you be okay if I shared with you the undisputed key to achieving your dreams? What do you think? Does that be all right? Yeah. Good. I'm also going to share with you a couple of myths and mistakes you've been led to believe about your success. All right? Because we're all taught different things about how to achieve success and what success looks like. And there's a few myths and mistakes I see commonly throughout the world. I'm going to share some of those with you. And the last thing I'm going to share with you is just these 3 simple things you need. You will walk out of here today. These 3 simple things guaranteed to increase your success and get you what you need and help you achieve your dreams. Okay? Sound good? If you guys are ready to rock and roll, say, I am. Good, because I am too. Now listen, you're going to have questions. I'm going to ask you to hold the questions. In fact, when we get done with the presentation, I'll be right back there. See all those pretty faces back there? Wave, guys. Hi, that's James Schumann. Look at his hair. Isn't it beautiful? He's bald. I'm going to be right back there. I'll answer any questions that you have. But if you're okay with it, can we hold questions? Because I've got a lot to share with you. So if you're okay holding questions, that'll give me the opportunity to share everything I have. Is that all right with you guys? Awesome. Okay, so let's go into thing number 1. Thing number 1, you like that? You like the thing number 1, Dr. Seuss reference? Isn't that great? The undisputed key to achieving your dreams. Now, in order to help you see how I discovered the undisputed key to achieving your dreams, this is ultimately a journey I had to go on myself. And I'm going to take you back in time a little bit. I'm going to take you back to little Kevy Kev. And I grew up in San Leandro, California. Anybody here ever been to California before? Anybody here ever heard of California before? A few of you, good. It's a state. I grew up in San Leandro, California, and this was when I wanted to be a baby DJ. Anybody here want to be a baby DJ? Me neither. I just thought it was a cute picture, and I thought you'd laugh, and you didn't. So let's move on. So after I decided that I wasn't going to be a baby DJ, I thought maybe I could be a basketball player. Maybe that's the dream, right? I could be a basketball player, and then I discovered these 2 things. One is I was white, and the other is I was never going to get taller than 5'8". And so I remember going to the doctor when I was a kid, and I remember I don't know why I remember this, but I remember the doctor telling me, because I think I asked him, like, Doc, how tall do you think I could get? Because that's when I still thought I was going to be a basketball star. And he said, Kevin, with your family and you might be able to get up to 6'2". And so I'm still waiting for those extra 6 inches. So if anybody knows where they are, let me know, because I've not found them. So I realized, look, this basketball thing isn't going to be it. And so then I decided to become a tuxedo model. Now, how many of you think I'd make a good tuxedo model? Don't answer that. I don't want to be sad. Listen, this is actually my senior picture, and I am in a tuxedo, but this is really what happened. I was going to high school trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. How could I achieve my dreams? Didn't even know what my dreams were. I wasn't going to be an NBA player, but I was playing basketball. I wasn't going to be a baby DJ because I'd grown up and I was in high school. And so here I am in high school, and I went to a lot of proms, okay? Anybody here go to a lot of proms? Anybody? Yes. That means you are like, buddy, we got ladies lining up, right? Woo! Yeah. See, I just had people asking me to prom because I was one of the few guys that would actually dance. And I did more than just this. I didn't just do, because you guys know me, I'm like, right? That was me all day. And so I got to go to a lot of proms. And what would happen is this tuxedo company that I'd rent my tuxedos from, I'd go in all the time. And it was like every couple months I'm going in there and they asked me if I wanted to be a model. And I said, do you see me? And they said, yes, but we want you to be a model. So I would have to wear these tuxedos to school and walk around at school in tuxedos thinking I was awesome. And then what happened is when the company saw their sales decline, they realized that maybe wasn't a good idea. So again, I hadn't achieved my dream, so I had to figure out something else. And this is my little ID card from the first place that I went to college, which is now called Cal State East Bay. And I don't know if you could tell from this picture, but this is when I went through what I call my boy band phase. And so we had blonde, spiky hair. I had an earring right here and thought, hey, maybe this is the way to achieve my dreams. I'll just become part of a boy band, but it turned out I can't sing. And so, guys, we all have dreams, hopes, and desires, and we never quite know how we're going to get there. And I realized that none of this stuff, this glamorous stuff, was going to work. So I would have to do what everybody does, which is go to work. And so I decided to go to work and get a glamorous job at a place called Gart Sports. Anybody here remember Gart Sports or Sport Mart? Okay, so I started working at Sport Mart when I was in high school and worked my way up to being a manager, well, almost a manager. They were about to promote me, and then I pulled the rug out from under them, and I'm like, I'm going to Germany for 2 years, which is actually where I met Chris and Steven. And so I'd never quite made manager, but I was working at Sport Mart and starting to really get into the retail game. Anybody here spend a lot of time in retail? How many of you love retail? I loved retail because I got to talk to people all day long, and it was awesome. And so I went on my mission. I came home from my mission, and I decided, well, I guess I ought to go back to what I know. And so I kept working at Gart Sports again, thinking, and that was the Gart Sports how many of you are from Utah? Is everybody here from Utah? How many of you are from the Orem-Provo area? How many of you know what University Mall is? How many of you know where Sport Authority is? That used to be Gart Brothers, and I helped to open that store. So I was going to BYU, and I helped open that store. And while I was there, I was doing the same thing I was supposed to do, which is just going to work every day and hoping one day I could become a manager. Because if I could become a manager, maybe one day I might make like 60 grand a year. Like, how awesome would that be, right? And after working at Gart Sports for a little while here in Utah, I decided to upgrade my life. Anybody here ever felt like you wanted to upgrade your life? So I decided to upgrade from Gart Sports to Nordstrom because I could wear a suit. And so I felt like I was fancier. And so at Nordstrom, I sold shoes. And so if you've ever wondered what hands look like that have touched thousands of feet, here they are, right there. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, you like that? You want to smell it? No, you don't? Okay. I worked at Nordstrom for a number of years. Nordstrom was the only job that I've ever been fired from. Anybody here ever been fired? Man, I got fired from Nordstrom. You want to know why they fired me from Nordstrom? Apparently stealing's not okay. I didn't know. It's so weird. I'm like, what? I work here. It was weird. No, they fired me because I actually ordered a pair of shoes directly from the vendor, and Nordstrom had a problem with me ordering shoes directly from the vendor, and so then they said that I was somehow being fraudulent, and therefore they fired me. And that's why I've never shopped at Nordstrom since. Just kidding. I do all the time, and I cry. So after I had to leave Nordstrom, I'm like, well, maybe I ought to, the retail thing worked out where I was in sporting goods. And so I started working for Dick's Sporting Goods. In fact, Galleons, there used to be Galleons downtown in Salt Lake City. It's right across from what used to be the Delta Center. It's now the Energy Solutions Arena. When it became Dick's Sporting Goods, I was actually the guy, not a lot of people know this little tidbit, write this one down. I'm the guy who cut that ribbon, whop, and made an inappropriate reference as I did so. Don't worry about it. I actually opened Dick's Sporting Goods and opened the footwear store, and I thought I'd show you a picture of what I used to look like when I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods. You'll notice major differences, primarily the green shirt. Otherwise, I'm exactly the same. Now, do you know who I'm standing with there? Anybody know who I'm standing with? Anybody here a fan of movies? Anybody here a fan of movies? Anybody here ever seen a movie? Anybody? A few of you, good. Anybody here ever seen the movie 16 Candles? Anybody seen? Yes. Do you know his name? What's his name? His name? Yeah, I knew Lori would know. Long Duck Dong, that was his name. That's right. I'm serious. I think we were separated at birth. So that's me hanging out with Long Duck Dong. And can we edit that, please? I don't think, it's live stream? Got it. Okay, no problem. After I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods for a while, I kind of went through this phase where I had this thing happen. It was totally weird. My wife left me and I got a divorce. Thank you for your sympathy. You're nothing. Drop a pin in here. I was going to BYU. I got married young, and after being married for a little while, this girl decided that she wanted to leave me after 3.5 years, fell in love with a good buddy of mine who I used to go golfing with, and around that time, I decided, okay, so let me get this straight. So the baby DJ thing didn't work, the basketball thing didn't work, the tuxedo model didn't work, the boy band thing didn't work, and now the retail thing obviously isn't working because I'm not making enough money and I got fired, so now I'm going through a divorce. Maybe I should make a shift? Because again, what was I trying to do? I was trying to achieve my dreams. I didn't really know what they were. And so I decided to make this shift, and I decided to leave retail, and I went to the glamorous job of sitting on the phone and calling people to refinance auto loans. And yes, glamorous, right? Can you guys just feel the glam? So I was working for Wells Fargo Financial doing auto loans and doing car loans, and I was there for a while. I started to do mortgages. I realized there was money in mortgages, but I realized the mortgages I was sharing with people were not really powerful, and so this is the moment when I made the real big shift in my life. I decided, depending on everybody else, and all of these jobs and all of these bosses and everything up to this point, that hasn't worked. And so I made the drastic shift and I made the leap into being self-employed. Anybody ever made that leap before? made the leap into being self-employed, and I decided to become a mortgage broker. And I became a mortgage broker, and while I was a mortgage broker, I decided that I needed to start changing some habits in my life because everything that I'd been doing up to that point wasn't working. And what's Einstein's definition of insanity? By the way, does anybody know, did he ever really say that? I hear everybody quote it. I've not seen the source material, but let's just assume that Einstein did say that the definition of insanity is what? You know it, say it. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? We know that. Okay, so I thought, well, what if I shift? And so here's the first shift that I made. This was a big turning point for me. While I was a self-employed mortgage broker, I decided to do this weird thing that I'd heard about. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Anybody ever heard of opening a book? It was this brand new thing to me. I opened this book and I started to read this book, and it was a book that my dad had told me about for years and years and years. And this book was a book by this guy, Robert Kiyosaki, and it was a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. How many of you have read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Yeah. How many of you love that book? How many of you were like I was, and after you read that book, you knew nothing other than you had to change some more stuff? Anybody else? Yeah. I'm like, I know I got to change stuff, but I don't know what to do. What do? I knew two things. I knew that I needed to own real estate, and I knew that I needed to be a business owner, but I wasn't exactly sure how to do either. And it was around that time that my good friend Chris Crone in the back, by the way, give it up for Chris Crone one more time, ladies and gentlemen, clap for this man. Here's what I want everybody to turn around and give him a virtual high five. He's right back there. Turn around and go, whoosh. Yeah. So Chris called me, and we decided, he and Steven and I, we sat down and we decided to do this thing, and we decided to start this company called REIC. How many of you remember this logo? Anybody here remember this logo? Yes. Aw, family. Yeah, we started this company and we had this logo. And we then, after some time, as many of you know, rebranded into the company that we are today, which is Strongbrook. And we are now more than just a real estate company. We're significantly more than a real estate company. Now we empower personal and financial success. Isn't that incredible? We are changing lives all across the country, and we've been doing it for 8 years now. We've transacted a lot of real estate, helped a lot of people financially. We've helped a lot of people shift their mindset. That's why many of you are here today, because you've taken those action steps in an attempt to go and achieve your dreams. And this was fantastic. But even as we started this company, I realized that I still personally, I can only tell you my story. Personally, I still wasn't making the progress that I needed to make. So I'd made some shifts. I'd left some old habits behind. I'd left a life behind. I began a new one. I started to read books, and I read stuff like Think and Grow Rich, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I started to pour over these books. Now, by the way, can I jump off script even though I don't have a script? Can I give you a bonus real quick? If it's okay that I give you a bonus, everybody say that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to share with you. Do you guys care if I share with you one success secret that has helped me probably more than almost anything else I've ever done in my life? Is that all right? Anytime you are at an event, anytime you are listening to somebody one-on-one, anytime somebody talks about a book that has changed their life in some way, can I make a recommendation of what you ought to do? Don't write it down. Buy it right now. Why? You strike while the iron. Listen, if you hear that something's right and you know that it's right, when's the right time to take action on it? So if you know that something's really awesome and something's really impacted somebody, and you're sitting there going, I don't mind making some improvement too, and somebody says you ought to do this thing, should you take action then or should you take action later? You should probably take action now. And by the way, we have these really remarkable things called smartphones, and all you have to do is download an app called Amazon, and you can buy the book right now. How many of you bought either one of those books right now that you hadn't yet? I'm just curious. I usually have somebody in the audience that usually buys a book right there. So if I talk about books today, feel free to write them down, but if I were you, I'd just go on and I'd buy them. And if you're an Audible user, at least go put it in your queue so you can download it later if you're an audiobook user. I'm telling you, that right there, because guess what? Everybody always asks me, Kev, what book should I read? And I give them a long list. Anybody ever wondered where I came up with that list? I don't just sit on Amazon and Audible like, what sounds like a good book. I just have a big fat list that I've accumulated over years of really successful people telling me what's impacted their life, and then that's what I do. Is that okay? Is that a good tip, you guys? If you'll do that, I promise you'll have your life changed. So here we are. We're in Strongbrook. I wanted to change my life a little bit more, and I knew that I needed to make some additional shifts. I needed to do some things and get a little bit better. And so the other thing that I knew is if I am not getting good enough, I probably need the help of someone else, right? Anybody ever felt like you need a mentor in your life or somebody, a coach, somebody to show you what you can't see? Anybody ever felt like that? So I got invited to this seminar, and again, I'm telling you, I go to seminars all the time, and it was a seminar for a good friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of James Malinchak. Anybody heard of James Malinchak before? Anybody heard of him outside of hearing about him from me? Okay, good. So James, he was actually on a show called The Secret Millionaire, and I started to pay James for coaching. Now, I pay James $15,000 a year to spend 9 uninterrupted hours with him. Let me ask you a question real quick. Everybody say pause. Why would I be willing to invest? Oh, can I give you one other bonus? Is that okay? You guys okay if I give you one other bonus real quick? All right. I don't pay for anything. How many of you pay for stuff? Anybody here pay for stuff? I don't pay for anything. I only invest. Let me tell you what that means, because if I don't pay to coach with James Malachek, I don't pay $15,000 a year, I invest $15,000 a year. In fact, I don't even buy food. How many of you buy food? See, I don't buy food, I invest in nutrition. Anybody do that? You know what, I actually don't even have a light bill. I don't have a gas bill. Do you know that? All I do is I invest in the ability to have electricity, and I invest in the ability to keep a warm house. Now, I'm telling you, if you will do the book thing, and if you will make that shift that you don't spend money, that you don't buy stuff, that you don't have expenses, you simply make investments, do you know what that does to your brain? That's a massive shift. Everybody say, Telling you, that'll change everything for you. So this was a big turning point for me. I decided to, and by the way, I want you to know, when I first started to hire James, I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I promise you, if you are using the excuse that I can't afford it, that is nothing more than an excuse. I guarantee it. Are you telling me you can't afford to invest a little bit of something in yourself to become a little bit better? Because if you can never afford that, you're never going to get better. Does that make sense? So don't tell me you can't afford it. And so I decided to start investing with James. James has taught me a ton of stuff and opened up a lot of doors for me. He's truly become my mentor and somebody that I look to and that I talk to on a very regular basis. In fact, this is one of the things that he taught me. How many of you go to work? How many of you work for a living? Raise your hand if you work for a living. Okay. How many of you work because you know that you need a little bit of money? Anybody feel like that? Now, this is what James taught me. He says that we don't go to work for money. We go to work for freedom. Does this make sense? Because we're attempting to gain more what? Freedom. Freedom of time, freedom to just do whatever we want. And here's what he shared with me. He said, everything you do every single day falls into one of two categories. It either contributes to that freedom or it contaminates that freedom. Think about that for a moment. How many of you are business owners? Raise your hand if you're a business owner, or raise your hand if you're like a customer service rep or doing something like that. How many of you have problem clients? How many of you have problem people that just cause you a whole lot of drama? Anybody? Yeah. Can I make a recommendation? Cut them loose. Can I tell you why? Because it will cost you so much more money to keep babysitting them when you're spending that time babysitting them, knowing they're never going to make any progress, when you could be taking that time and those other resources and investing it into people that will actually do something and actually want to change their life. Does that make sense? So is what you're doing contributing to or contaminating your freedom? And I said, you know what? I need to do more things to contribute to my freedom. And so when having this mentor and working with James, what I started to realize is I get to shift everything, and I needed to start opening doors. How many of you would like to have doors open for you so you could experience more opportunity and possibility? Yeah. And sometimes you got to go hire somebody or invest in somebody that can open those doors. And James has opened a lot of doors. This is just a few of the people I've had a chance to share the stage with, people that I've had a chance to interact with. And by the way, I got to show you my favorite picture on here because this just happened like 2 weeks ago. Anybody know who that is? That is Steve freaking Young, man. I was like the biggest Steve Young fan growing up. I'm a huge 49er fan. Any other 49er fans in the room? Yes? Thank you to the two of you. I love you. And I grew up a big Steve Young fan, and ever since I moved to Utah in 2001, I have literally every single day just about said, I'm going to meet Steve. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to meet Steve. And just on the 4th of July, do you guys care if I tell you this story real quick? So on the 4th of July, we went to see the balloons go up in the air, and then we're going over to the parade. There's about 1 billion things that happen in order for this moment to take place. But in essence, my wife saw Steve Young pull into the Provo Bulldog High School parking lot, and she went, Kev, she's trying to call me. And I'm not picking up the phone because I'm talking to a buddy of mine. I was talking to Dusty Dastrup, who was going to go through the parade, and she's like trying to get a hold of me, and she finally gets close enough to me that I look at my phone. I'm like, you're calling me? She's like, put it down. It doesn't matter. Steve Young's over there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like the real guy, like Steve Young is over there? She's like, yes, he's wearing a blue shirt, and he's just right around there over the corner. I said, do you care if I go meet him? She said, go. And so I go running over there, and he's waiting by a porta potty, and I don't care. I'm like, if I have to wait for him to do his business and come out, I'll high five him on the way out. I'll be like, do you use sanitizer? Doesn't matter. Whoops, because this is Steve freaking Young. And so I got a chance to meet Steve Young. And you know what? This is one of the things that James has taught me. James has really taught me, and this is one of the benefits of having a mentor. How many of you would like to know a really good way to meet famous people or to meet celebrities or to meet people that you have a lot of respect for and to make an impression on them? Anybody would like to see? That's something that James has taught me, and I use those techniques. And I talked to Steve, and I won't tell you everything that I said, but I'll tell you what the result was. At the end of me sharing what I shared with Steve, he did this. You ready? Watch, he did this. Oh, man. He reached for me to give me a hug, and so we bro-hugged it out. I bro-hugged Steve Young because I just shared some stuff with him and told him what an impact he's had on me, because I'm a big believer. I'm a firm believer that if I'm going to meet you and we're going to interact, I want you to leave our interaction being better off than you were before we interacted. Does anybody else interact with life that way? May I make a recommendation that you try? That could make a really big shift for you. That could be a really big difference. And so I wanted to do that for Steve Young. And so I don't know if he remembers my name or anything, but I'll guarantee he remembers that day. But he gave me a hug. He told me, he's like, hey, man, do you want to get a picture? I'm like, of course I do. And so we selfied it, and then he gave me a hug. Isn't that awesome? See, I wouldn't have known how to meet Steve, how to talk to Steve, or how to meet and share the stage with some of these other incredible celebrities. Glenn Morshower from 24, Les Brown. We hired Thurl Bailey to be on stage with us. John Ashraf, I had dinner with him at his home. The guy from The Secret. Had a chance to meet Glenn Beck at that same parade and had a meaningful interaction with him a couple years ago. Some of you may hate him. I like him, okay? But point is, I had a chance to do some film work with Joe Theismann, a Super Bowl champion. All because I had doors open for me. And since then, I've had a chance to speak all over the country. I've started speaking at high schools. I love speaking at high schools because I get to impact those kids in a really powerful way. I've been able to be featured and write some books. I've got my next book coming out a little bit later this year called Flipping the Gratitude Switch that I'm so excited for. And it is getting so close to being ready, and I'm so ready to give it to you. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. And we're getting really, really close, and I'm so excited. It is totally written. It's just going through the revision process and some of the design and the edit stuff. And I can't wait to get it to you. None of this, friends. None of the speaking, none of the celebrities, none of the books, none of the income opportunities that have come from it. None of it would have been possible had I not invested in what? Yourself. In me. And invested in me to where I was going to go and find mentors. How many of you have ever sought a mentor in your life? Anybody ever sought a mentor? Can I tell you what a big challenge is when you seek mentors? Who do you go to? Anybody ever thought that? You go, okay, well, what do I want to learn? Sales and marketing. So what do? You go on Google and you Google sales and marketing. Somebody that's awesome. And then you get a list of people, but how do you know if they're good or not? How do you interview them? And if you do interview them, how much are they going to charge you? Most of these guys, they're going to charge you a little bit up front and then a little bit more and then a little bit more. And you have to invest a lot of money all along the way if you want to go in and interact with these people. Is that correct? How cool would it be? Just try this on for a moment. Imagine for a moment what it would be like if you had access to world-class mentors, the people that have had massive success and would share their success with you. And imagine if you had access to that for about $3 a day. How many of you think that would be pretty cool? That'd be awesome. Can you imagine? What if you had one place to walk into and it was just like a room of possibility? And you could say, oh, I want to learn from Nicolene Peck, or I want to learn from Stephen Palmer, or I want to learn from Les Brown, or Kevin Harrington, or whoever. And it was all right there. And you got to choose what it is that you need. And it was, boom, available right in front of you. Would that be awesome? How much money would that make you if you had access to world-class mentors every single day on a regular basis? Have you ever thought about that? What kind of an investment would you make to do that? I invest $15,000 a year with James just for 9 uninterrupted hours. Is this starting to make sense? Mentors can change everything, you guys. How many of you have ever said these words, I can? Raise your hand if you've ever said I can. If you've ever said I can, say it now. Say, I can. I can. And I want you to say, I can be better. I can be better. I want you to say, I can be more awesome. I can be more awesome. I want you to say, I can absolutely achieve my dreams. I can absolutely achieve my dreams. Now, how many of you believed those statements, just out of curiosity? I'm sure some of you did. Good. But if you didn't, wouldn't it be helpful if you had a mentor to help teach you how to feel those statements and actually mean them? Because when you mean them, what starts to happen in your life? What starts to happen is you may go from selling shoes to speaking all across the country. Now, I don't share these pictures with you to tell you, hey, look at me, look at me. This is simply, I am absolutely humbled that I get to be here with you I've spent my entire life just being a kid trying to figure this thing out and knowing that one day, I remember seeing a motivational speaker in high school, and it was my teacher, it was my English teacher, and I remember watching him on the floor, and I remember going, oh my gosh, what would that be like to do that? And now I get to stand on the gym floors. Guys, none of that would have been possible for me were it not for mentors that have made a difference. Okay? So you ready for it? I haven't even shared with you the undisputed key. I kind of have, but I haven't shared with you the undisputed key to achieving your dreams. Do you guys want it? Yeah. Here it comes. It is quite simply, you need to upgrade your mental programming. Everybody say that back with me. Upgrade your mental programming. What do I mean by that? How many of you have a computer? Raise your hand if you have a computer. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a computer. How many of you have a computer that has software that's like 5 years old on it? Anybody have one of those? How's that computer working, by the way? It only takes you 35 minutes to sign in online, right? It's awesome. Yeah, are you still using AOL? Look, there's better services. Listen, if you have a computer that has old software and old programming, is there something you could do to, I don't know, make the computer go a little faster or make it a little bit easier to work with? Could you do upgrade? Yep. But how often do you upgrade your mental programming? Look, I don't know much, but I know this. The guaranteed way to achieve success and achieve your dreams is to do this. Upgrade your mental programming every single day. But can I give you a little secret? It doesn't require hours and hours. You could do it in 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. I spend about 2 hours a day. That's my choice. I do it from about the time of 4 or 4:30 a.m. to about 6 or 6:30 a.m. That's the time that I have to upgrade my mental programming. That's a choice that I've made. You can find time throughout the day, and I actually do more than those 2 hours because I have my phone, and I listen to books, and I listen to podcasts all the time. Whenever I'm not doing something that requires my immediate attention, I listen, I learn. I'm always attempting to upgrade my mental programming. But again, the challenge for many people is, where do I go in order to upgrade that mental programming? How do I go find unlimited resources and ability to be able to upgrade on a consistent basis? Would it be okay if I give you guys that solution today? Before I do that, though, just remind you, upgrade your mental programming. It could be books and audio courses and video courses. It could be personal interaction. It could be live trainings. It could be someone in your corner that's working with you and working one-on-one. But I told you I was going to share 3 things with you, so we better get hustling, right? Because I've only done 1. So the second thing is, I'm going to share with you a couple of the myths and mistakes you've been led to believe about your success. How many of you know that you've been led to believe falsehoods about your ability to achieve success? Anybody know that? You've been led to believe it. You've been led to believe things like this. All you need to do is follow the yellow brick road, right? One of the programs that I absolutely love and adore is a program called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I quote this every time I speak, anywhere I go, anywhere in the country, including those high school kids, because this is something you need to understand. In The Strangest Secret, there's a quote by Rollo May, and he says this: the opposite of courage in society is not cowardice, it's what? What does that mean? Any ideas? Do the same thing as everybody else, right? Put my head down, go to work, 401k, buy my house, pay it off, retire, maybe go to Hawaii every now and then. Yeah, but how's that working? I mean, 36% of workers have less than $1,000 in savings. 60% of workers have less than $25,000. 2/3 of people have to rely on Social Security for at least 50% of their retirement income. How's the conformity working? See, we're told, go to school, get good grades. Go more school, get more good grades. And then after you do that, now all you have to do is go get a job, and you have to have somebody else tell you how much you're worth. What's that? You got The Strangest Secret. Carl, that's awesome. See what Carl has right there? Hold it up. See, Carl, when did you get that? How long have you had it? Did you hear me talk about it one time and you decided to buy it?
Yep. Have you read it? Not yet.
Baby steps, ladies and gentlemen, baby steps. You got to buy it and then you get to read it, but that's fantastic. I love that.
All the other books that I've
Yes. Good. See, that's the key. He's got the list. You guys, I'm telling you, by the way, you know, he just demonstrated something. I told you, when somebody tells you that something's had an impact on their life, what ought you to do? Now, by the way, let me give you another little tip. I'm going to give you another little trick, another little secret. You guys okay with that? You could go find The Strangest Secret for free on YouTube. May I make a recommendation? Don't. What do you think I would have you do instead? Invest in it. Because will it mean more to you if you invest some precious resources? Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. So now, by the same token, when somebody does give you something for free, like if Carl gave you that book as a gift, it's okay to accept that, okay? It is okay to take awesome stuff for free, but when it comes to you making a choice, my recommendation is you invest, all right? So what's the second myth? We know that the yellow brick road doesn't work. We know that that is that. Hey, do I have audio, by the way, you guys? Do I have audio? I do have audio? Okay, awesome. Hey, can you give it up for the tech team back there? Because they're awesome. They're doing, I mean, like, you know what I love? We come and do these events and we don't even have to think about it. I just get to come up on stage and dance around like a monkey because I know that they got me. And it's amazing, and I love you guys, and you're absolutely incredible. And also, big ups to Jason and everybody doing the live stream so that some of your guests and some of your people that aren't here get to watch it online. Can you clap for that too? How cool is that? Everybody say technology rules. Yeah, it does, and we're going to use some technology right now to show you a couple videos because this is another myth. I know enough to do it on my own. How many of you feel like I know enough to do it on my own? I don't need anybody else. Let me just go and do it. Anybody feel like that? We have a saying in our company, you know it, and I want you to shout it back to me. If you want something done right, don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. My recommendation is if you can hire somebody for $10 to $100 to do the work that you don't have to, you ought to do that. Why? Because if that's not your dream, and if that's not your passion, and if that's not what you're good at, you might as well hire it out. You're going to be a heck of a lot more productive if you do. Make sense? That make sense? So a lot of us think, I know enough to do it on my own. Sure, yeah. Well, there's a few people that I want to show you that maybe feel like they didn't even know enough to do it on their own. Anybody heard of Microsoft before? Anybody heard of Bill Gates? Well, let's see what Bill Gates says about this issue.
Everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a basketball player, a tennis player, or a bridge player. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve.
So does Bill Gates do it alone? No, and Bill Gates talks about other successful people, and what do? They invest in coaches and mentors because they can show you things that you can't see on your own. Yes or yes? I didn't give you an option to say no. What about CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt? Anybody ever heard of Google? Can we just, everybody say pause. Do you remember life without Google? What was that like? You know what I remember? I still remember, and I'm 36, you guys, and so I'm not real old, but I'm also not super duper young, and my kids remind me of that all the time. I remember wanting to go see a movie with my friends, and we had to do this crazy thing. There was this thing, it was like paper. It was called like a newspaper, I think. And you looked at it and it gave you the movie times. Anybody remember looking for movie times? Yeah. And if you didn't have the newspaper, you had a phone number, and then you'd have to call 50 times in case anybody else was calling and it was busy, just so you could hear the recording. And then you had to wait like 15 minutes to get the time for the one movie that you wanted to see, which for some reason was always listed last. Remember that? Oh my gosh, look at life now. Isn't this incredible? Oh man, thank you, NSA. That is just great. Just kidding. So guys, CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, what do you think? Do you think he's done it all by himself? Let's find out.
Over the years, I've received so many different kinds of advice, I don't know where to start. One that comes to mind is to have a coach. Our board member in 2002, John Doerr, said, you need a coach. And I said, well, I don't need a coach. I'm an established CEO. Why would I need a coach? Is something wrong? He said, no, you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. So Bill Campbell became my coach and has served Google very well. Every famous athlete, every famous performer has somebody who's a coach. Somebody who can watch what they're doing and say, is that what you really meant? Did you really do that? They can give them perspective. The one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them. A coach really, really helps.
So if Bill Gates and Eric Schmidt don't know enough to do it on their own, and if they need to go out and find mentors and coaches, do you think you and I ought to take that advice? What do you think? Yes. Now, what about Dirk Nowitzki? Anybody know who he is? Famous basketball player. I want you to watch a couple minutes, and I want you to pay attention to something here.
He has been a member of the Mavericks since the very beginning of his NBA career in 1998, has gone on to become a 10-time All-Star with an offensive repertoire never before seen in a 7-footer. And he's still here 13 years later as the face of this franchise. Now that's loyalty, and that's not surprising from a player who is still coached by the same man that mentored him as a boy in his native Germany.
The game is tied at 90. Nowitzki gets the ball outside the three-point line. Nowitzki puts up the three, puts it in! Dallas Mavericks with one of the most incredible comebacks in NBA Finals history.
In Game 2 of the Finals, fans witnessed a historic comeback by the Dallas Mavericks. But a few hours before the game, on that very same court, a mentor and his student prepared, just as they had for the past 17 years.
He taught me everything I know on the court. He's been a great help off the floor with everything.
I was going to skip that. 17 years he's worked with this man. Dirk Nowitzki, an MVP, an all-star, the face of a franchise, one of the most dominant basketball players ever. He wasn't just relying on the coach that was given to him. He had still hired and worked with a mentor that had been helping him for years. So let me ask you again. If Eric Schmidt needs it, if Bill Gates needs it, if Dirk Nowitzki needs it, if Tiger Woods, if Michael Jordan, if Usain Bolt, if they need people in their corner to tell them what they need to do and to show them things that they can't see, how much do you and I need that? What do you think? A lot or a little? Do you think these mentors and these coaches shared insight and shared success tips and shared things with these individuals that those individuals simply couldn't see? Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, what need do we have? I got a friend of mine, I'll tell you, it's James Malchek again. He had lunch with Coach John Wooden. Anybody know who John Wooden is? All right, so John Wooden, probably the best basketball coach ever. Look at this quote. I love this. It's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. Woo, try that one home. You like that, Tracy? You feeling that, right? Woo, it's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. I'm going to sum this whole thing up in one word. Humility. Is humility important for your success? I got a book coming out on gratitude, and the reason for that is because it's changed my life. Gratitude has been a foundational principle that for me has shifted the way I interact with my kids, shifted the way I interact with my wife, it shifted the way I interact in business and everything. And there's something about gratitude when you choose to experience it, especially during the most key, frustrating times of your life. It creates this humility and you realize there's something bigger than you. You guys know, just like I do, the quickest way to fail, the first quickest way to fail is to simply never take action. The second quickest way is to take action filled with ego. That is the quickest way to fail. My mentor, James Malchek, also says, you either fill your bank account or you fill your ego, but you typically can't have it both ways. It's powerful truth. John Wooden said, it's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. How many know-it-alls do we have in here? Anybody? I'm the only one. Okay, but listen, you still got to learn. Here's another guy, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Eastman. He's the vice president of basketball operations for the Clippers, and I've had a chance to get to know him through James Malchek. Here we are with James and Kev at a Clippers game, just sitting courtside, and Kev says this, and I love this. He says, if all I know is what I know, I don't know enough. I need to know what you know. Isn't that awesome? If all I know is what I know, I don't know enough. I need to know what you know because I can learn from you. Can I, Joe? Can I learn from you? Have you learned from me? I know I've learned from you. I get to learn from everybody because you have life experience that I don't have. But how awesome would it be if you could walk into a place and walk into a room and have access to some of the best thought leaders and minds in the world, and they would share with you what they know that maybe you don't know? And what if it was all available at the tap of a button or the click of a mouse? How amazing would that be if you could gain access to all of that? Would that be worth it for you? I'll tell you it's worth it for me. Here's the next myth. You need a lot of money to make money. You know what? Stop it. You need a lot of money to make money? No, you don't. Listen, Oprah, tell that to her. Started with nothing, became a billionaire. Tell it to J.K. Rowling. Tell it to this guy. You know who this guy is? It's not that one. This is the Paul Mitchell guy. Do you know when he created his shampoo, he slept in his car and went door to door and knocked to try to sell the shampoo? Anybody know that? How's he doing now? Well, he's doing pretty good. Barbara Corcoran, who I had an opportunity to be featured in a book with, along with some other amazing entrepreneurs in this room. Barbara started with a $1,000 loan. Wasn't her money, $1,000. Turned it into a powerful company and ended up later selling it for $70 million and is now on Shark Tank. Speaking of Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary. Anybody know who Kevin O'Leary is? Mr. Wonderful, right? Do you think Mr. Wonderful invests his own money in the businesses? No, guess whose money he invests? He manages a fund. Most people don't think of it like that, right? Don't tell me you don't have enough money to make money, because they didn't have any, but they did okay. And you ever heard of this, the latte factor? David Bach, if you skipped a coffee a day, a soda a day, skipped going out to lunch, or maybe you didn't order the whole value meal and just the burger, whatever you want to do. If you took that money and you put it somewhere and it compounded at 10% annually, do you know that after 40 years you'd be doing all right? Just $3 to $5 a day? Don't tell me you don't have enough. Don't tell me you can't hustle. Don't tell me you have some ability to be able to do something. If you don't have any money, figure out a way to go generate some. You guys know what I say and what my friend Bob Berg says, who wrote The Go-Giver, which is another book that's absolutely changed my life, and we'll write her down, or if you haven't written it, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. If you want more money, it's real simple. What do you have to go give? More value. Does everybody here have value that you could give somebody else? Yes or no? Yes. How many of you are coming to Laurel's 3-day event in Salt Lake City? How many of you? Good. She's going to teach you real well how you take that value and transmute it, and how you have the ability to share value and receive value in return. That's all economies are. Okay? So don't tell me you don't have enough money, because I guarantee that you have the ability to go find it. When I started a mentor with James Malinchek, I didn't have an extra 15 grand lying around that I could invest. I had to go find it. I had to go hustle. I had to do whatever it took, because I knew that if I did that, it would catapult me. It would launch me. I knew that by gaining access to mentors, and a mentor at least, that would help me see things that I couldn't see, that it would change the entire trajectory of my life. None of what I've been able to do or accomplish, or even just being on the stage in total humility and gratitude with you, none of this would have been possible had I not had that man in my life, had I not had mentors in my life. None of it. I guarantee it. How much is it costing you if you're not investing in a mentor or a coach, or in your own personal growth on a regular basis? How much is it costing you? You ever thought of it like that? I mean, like $3 to $5, $3 a day. I can't afford that. Why would I want to change my life for $3 a day? That's way too expensive. What if it makes you $1 million? Heck, what if it makes you 1,000? Come on. Got to think through this stuff. So let's move on to thing number 3, and we're going to wrap this up, because I'm going to share with you real simply the 3 simple steps you need to guarantee your success. You guys ready for the 3 steps? By the way, so far, how many of you have at least had one takeaway from today that you're going to take action on? How many of you have not had any takeaways at all from anything that I've said? Anybody? Okay, good. Some of you are just shy. Just checking. So let me ask you this question. I want you to imagine the exact life you wanted. What would it look like? What would life be like if you had that? If you don't know what it would be like, talk to my friend Ann Webb back there. She will help you come up with an ideal life vision. Yeah. Imagine if you had the exact life you wanted. What does it look like for you? What car do you drive? What home do you live in? How much service do you render? How much value do you give? What do you do for nonprofits? Who are you traveling and serving and helping? Where are you traveling? How much time are you spending with your family? What does that look like? Does everybody have a loose picture of what that would feel like for you? Let me ask you this. What if you were just 3 simple steps away from it? How many of you would want those 3 simple steps? Anybody? Good, because I'm about to give them to you. Because the 3 steps are quite simply, you ready? Oh, we got to find out you qualify first. So if I'm going to give you these 3 simple steps, I got to make sure you qualify for me to share them with you. So how many of you, raise your hand, how many of you have a smartphone or a computer? Raise your hand if you have a smartphone or a computer. Okay, good. So keep them up. You qualify so far. Do you guys have a smartphone or a computer? Good. Anybody here not have a smartphone or computer? Raise your hand if you have one of those. Good. You qualify so far. Keep your hand up. I want to make sure you qualify. Second thing is, how many of you can give yourself the gift of at least 15 minutes a day? How many of you can give yourself that gift? So far, you all qualify. Good. How many of you have a burning desire to get what you want? Anybody here? You qualify. I get to share the 3 steps with you. Are you excited? Congratulations. Turn to your neighbor and high five him and say, you qualify. You qualify. Yeah, you do. And so let me tell you, my friend, I consider him a friend because I've spent so much time listening to this guy. Napoleon Hill says, there's one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose. The knowledge of what one wants and a burning desire to possess it. Now, if you have a burning desire to possess it, you've got a smartphone, you've got at least 15 minutes a day. Here come the 3 steps. You ready? Woo! Drum roll, please. Everybody do this. Here they come. These are big. All you have to do is log in, pick a course, and press play. There you have it. Yeah. What do you think? Now, I got to tell you something, though. There's a caveat here, because I could give you the most incredible recipe for chocolate chip cookies, even though I hate chocolate chip cookies, but I could give you the most incredible recipe for chocolate chip cookies on the planet. I could even give you all of the ingredients and put them out on the counter for you. But there is only one way you are going to be able to eat those chocolate chip cookies, and what is it going to require? You got to make them. That means you have to do what? You need to take action, don't you? That's the caveat. I can give you the world, but it doesn't mean a doggone thing if you don't do anything with it. Make sense? Guys, we put something together that allows you to take action on a regular basis. If you have a phone, if you have a computer, if you think you're worth at least 15 minutes a day, if you think you're worth at least $3 a day, what if I could give you access to world-class mentors like Les Brown, Kevin Harrington, and Laura Langmeyer? What if you could get access, 24/7 access to hundreds of mentors, thousands of hours of content, and you could do it all for less than a cup of coffee a day? Would that be all right? How many of you think that you're worth at least $3 a day? Anybody here? Yeah, I hope so. Because if you're not, there's really no reason for you to be here at all. Can I just be honest with you? If you're not worth at least $3 a day to create success, you're just never going to create it. So you can come to as many events as you want, but if you don't take action when you know something's right, are you ever going to get where you want to go? Plain and simple, you won't. What if you could get Kevin Harrington and Garrett Gunderson and Chris Miles and get financial mentorship? And what if you could get a mindset makeover? And what if you could learn how to transform your health? And what if you could get some additional incredible relationship training like some of what you're receiving here today? How amazing was Nicolene Peck, by the way? Can you clap for her? Man, how many of you know for a fact that you are better off as human beings because you got to listen to her today? Yeah, because she makes a difference. What if you could have her in your back pocket? What if you could listen to her on a regular basis? What if you could listen to her over and over and over again and it wasn't just a live event? Would that be powerful? Would that be awesome? Guys, check it out. You can get tons and tons of stuff through this little thing we've put together called the Mentoring Network, including live events, kind of like what you're doing here. And all of it for less than a cup of coffee a day. Is that cool or what? See, because there's nothing out there like this. Where else can you go find a whole conglomeration of thought leaders from all across the world, innovative thought leaders that give you their best success tips and make it available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right in the palm of your hand, at the click of a mouse, at the touch of a button, so that you can invest as little as about $3.25 a day in order to change your everything. I don't know anywhere else in the world that exists, but friends, you got it here. Is that awesome or what? And you know what? If it's not sweet enough, when you come and join the Mentoring Network and you have an opportunity to gain access to this content, we're donating it away. For every single person that's an active subscriber, we are also donating that level of mentorship to somebody who's underprivileged, who doesn't have maybe some of the advantages that you have. So now not only are you changing your life, you're changing theirs. How many of you know that the more you influence, how many of you know what Zig said? You can have anything in this life if you want, anything you want in this life if you what? Just help enough other people get what they want. Is this a way to help somebody else get what they want? Is this a gift to you? Should be. Look, it may not be for you if you enjoy staying in broken patterns and you do not desire more money, more success, or more love. If you do not believe you're worth at least $3 a day, if you are technology adverse, if you're unwilling to invest at least 15 minutes a day in yourself, and if you are unteachable, stubborn, and crotchety, and if you are unwilling to do whatever it takes to live an extraordinary life you're destined for, please know this is not for you. Okay? Now, it might be for you if you're open to improving any aspect of your life, even if it's just a little. It's what you learn after you think you know what all that counts. If you believe that there's more out there for you, if you're open and teachable, if you like simple solutions to complicated problems, if you have a burning desire to get what you want, and if you want to be personally mentored and taught by world-class achievers who share their success secrets with you so you can model, copy, and implement them, this just might work out for you. So what is it? It's simple. It's $99 a month. It's about $3 a day. Are you worth it? How many of you think that you're worth investing at least $3 a day in yourself? Stand up if you think that you're worth it. Stand up if you think you're worth at least $3 a day investing in yourself. I want to make sure that I met up to my promises. I told you I'd share with you the undisputed key. Did I do that? Okay, I told you I'd share with you some myths and mistakes. Did I do that? I told you that I would share with you some 3 simple steps. Did I do that? Did I hold up my end of the bargain? Good, I'm glad. Now, listen, I don't want you to necessarily even have to invest in yourself $99 a month. So stay standing, because would it be okay if I showed you how to get it all for free? All right, here's how you do it. It's real simple. I could give it to you for free forever. All you need to do is go help at least 3 other people decide that they want to change their life too. And if you'll do that, yours is free forever. How many of you would take advantage of an offer if it was free forever? Yes? How many of you would take advantage of an offer if it was at least $3 a day to change your entire life? Good, then for those of you, head right back there to that corner and let's get you started, because it's time. And I want you to get started, and I want you to change your life. And I want you to know I am absolutely thankful that I was able to be here with you. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for letting me be here with you today. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.